Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be resharing an old recipe that I shared a while ago on my channel. Today, I'm going to be giving you guys my updated version for Bara. Now, if any of you guys don't know what Bara is, it's basically a Guyanese snack or street food, and it is basically a fluffy fritter made out of split peas, some flour, and some spices, and usually spinach or scallions is added in for a nice little green color and some flavor. So today I'm going to be doing an updated version. I'm going to be making the recipe a little bit different. I'm going to be using some fresh split peas that I soak and I grind versus using the split peas powder. The reason being is because I know a lot of us are home under quarantine and some of us might not be able to go out to the store to buy the split peas powder. So this is for all of you guys who stocked up on all of your dried goods and you have freshly ground dhal. Now if you want the other version of the recipe where you use the split peas powder, I'll have it linked right up here in the right hand corner. But for any of you guys who want to see the fresh version, go ahead and keep on watching this video. The first step for this recipe, being that we are using the freshly ground split peas, is to go ahead and soak your split peas. So the night before I wanted to make the bara, I took my split peas and I put them in a bowl with some lukewarm water and I allowed them to soak overnight. And they basically doubled in size overnight because they've pumped up with the water. But if you didn't have overnight, you could go ahead and soak it for just at least an hour or two in some very hot water, and that'll do the same trick. Just depends on how much time you have. Once you finish soaking your split peas, you're going to go ahead and drain off that water and you're going to wash them really well until the water runs clear. Once that happens, you're going to go ahead and start to grind your split peas in your blender or your food processor along with some water as well as some hot peppers and garlic. Now, as usual, all of my ingredients and measurements will be down in the description box below, so you'll know how much water I added in to grind these split peas as well. Now, once you've gone ahead and ground up all of your split peas into a very fine paste or a liquid, as you guys see here, you're going to go ahead and pour it into a bowl, and then into that same bowl, you're going to go in with your all-purpose flour. Now, a lot of you guys in the last video asked me if you could do whole wheat flour or a mixture of whole wheat flour and all-purpose flour, and the answer is yes. If you want to make your bara a little healthier, go ahead and feel free to do so. Once you've added in your flour, you're going to go in with your baking powder, and you want to add in baking powder and your yeast into this recipe so this way both can act with each other and give it a nice puff and a fluffiness. Once you've gone in with all of your baking powder, you're going to go in with some ground turmeric or some Dhal, as Guyanese people know it as. If you wanted to and you didn't have the powdered turmeric, you could also grate in some fresh turmeric in here as well. Now, once you add that in, you're also going to go in with some ground Geera. The Geera is optional. Some people do not like the taste, but I love it in bara. And after you've added in all of your spices, you're going to go in with some salt to taste as well as all of your yeast. Again, I said that the baking powder and yeast are essential to making bara, so this way it can get a nice puff and it can be nice and chewy as well. Now, once all of your ingredients are added in, basically you're going to want to go ahead and mix it all together. Now, the amount of water that you add into your dhal as you're grinding it determines how much more water you're going to have to add into this dough. So I'm going to mix it up a little bit and then I can see from there how much water it'll need. So my dough ended up being a little dry, just looking at the ratio between the dhal and the water that I had added into the dhal. So I'm just streaming in a little bit more warm water. You want to make sure when you're using any liquids in this dish, you use warm liquids, because remember, if you don't, the yeast can actually be killed if you use very hot water or if you use very cold water. So you want to make sure to use something that's about 110 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to keep mixing with the spoon. You could even switch with your fingers to go ahead and mix everything in very evenly. And make sure you get a nice tacky dough, something that you can hold in your fingers to drop in the oil. You don't want it to be too liquidy like a batter, or else it's going to just run off your fingers and the bara is going to be very oily. And you also don't want it to be very hard, because if it is, the baras will be tough and hard in the end. Now, once you've gone in with all of your water, you're going to go in with your bhaji or your spinach. Now, I'm using frozen chopped spinach, but you can use literally any type of spinach that you have in your disposal. Now, if you wanted to, you could use chopped up kale, you could use fresh bok choy, you could use fresh poi bhaji, you could use any type of greens in this recipe. It'll work. I've tried it before and it works perfectly. I just so happen to have the frozen one, but if you don't and you have fresh, feel free to do that. Now, once you add in your spinach, you're going to go ahead and start whipping the bara mix really well. You want to make sure and keep whipping it well, so this way the bara can become aerated and you can have a very fluffy and soft product in the end. Now I've noticed when some people make bara, they actually complain that their bara ends up coming out hard and it doesn't raise properly. And they usually think that it is because of the baking powder or the yeast being bad. And sometimes that is the case, but most times, often than not, they did not whip it enough or they did not whip it at all. So make sure you go ahead and beat that dough really well for about a good 2 minutes, so this way it can become aerated and you're almost kneading it during this process as well. So it'll just help with the final product. And at any time as you're mixing up this bara, if you feel like it is not yellow enough, you can go ahead and add in some more ground turmeric. And if you wanted to, you could go ahead and just take a little taste of the raw dough. I usually do that just to go ahead and taste and see if it has enough salt. I whipped the dough for about 2 minutes, and as you guys can see, it got just a little bit smoother at the top and it is ready to be rested. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cover it with some plastic wrap, or you can cover it with a damp paper towel and a kitchen towel. And then you're going to go ahead and let it rest for about an hour or two, or just until it starts to puff up a little bit. Now this is not totally going to double in size depending on your climate, so do not be discouraged. Still go ahead and cook your bara after about 1 or 2 hours of resting in a warm place. It's been about 2 hours now and I let my dough rest really well. As you guys can see, it hasn't totally doubled in size, but it does have a nice puffiness to it. If you're in a very cold climate, the bara might not even raise that much and it is totally okay. Still go ahead and cook your bara. So basically what I've done is I've coated my fingers with some oil so this way it could stop it from sticking. You could also use some water, but I always recommend the oil because if you use water, it tends to not really mix with hot oil. Remember, water and oil don't mix. So if you put it in the oil, sometimes it splatters and it's just dangerous. So for anybody who is a newbie in the kitchen, I recommend spreading oil on your fingers versus the water. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to grab a little spoonful of the dough and spread it in between your fingers, as you guys see I'm doing here. And with the help of that oil, it won't stick and you can easily drop it into your hot oil. Now, if you did not want to go ahead and do this with your hand to drop in the oil, you could of course take an ice cream scoop and just go ahead and scoop little balls into the dough. But the only thing with that is that you're not going to get that bara shape that's nice and flat. So whatever way you decide to do it, it totally just depends on your preferences. You'll still get the same perfect bara taste in the end. So I also wanted to mention that I am using vegetable oil today to go ahead and fry, and it is on a medium to medium high heat. You want to keep that regulated because you do not want them to get too dark too fast. Now bara is a thing that's usually made between 2 people. So one person will usually go ahead and drop the batter into the oil, and one person will usually be turning and taking it out of the oil. Being that I'm in the kitchen today, I'm showing you guys a few tips and tricks on how to go ahead and fry by yourself. Basically what I like to do is make sure first of all the oil is regulated on like a medium heat, because if it's too high, you're going to have to keep working too fast and you might end up burning some of your bars. So what I like to do is I like to go ahead and put one batch in at a time. Then I'll go ahead and wipe down my fingers or wash my hands, and I'll go back in and I'll stir them. Usually by the time I add in the bara into the oil and I go and wash my hands, one side is done and I can go ahead and flip. Now baras cook very fast, so basically what you're looking for is a beautiful golden brown exterior. Some people like a really dark bara, some people like a very light brown bara. I'm somewhere in the middle, I like it nice and golden brown. So basically what you're going to do is cook it for about a minute on each side and then they are done. And once your baras are done frying in the oil and you find that they have a nice golden brown exterior as per your liking, you can go ahead and remove them from the oil. I always recommend putting them into a bowl that you've lined with some paper towels. This way all of that excess oil will be soaked up by the bara. Now I promise you, if you follow my recipe to a T, you are going to have beautiful fluffy baras. You're not going to have very oily baras. That's one thing that I don't like about bara. It's usually very heavy and oily. But although this does hold a little bit of oil as usual, just because it has yeast in it, it's not overly oily like some baras I've eaten before. So once they're done frying out of the oil, it is time to eat. You want to serve them nice and warm to even piping hot, because they soak up the chutney or the sauces that you eat them with even better. And you guys, this is the perfect snack food, or you can even have this for lunch or dinner depending on what you're feeling. I prefer this with tamarind sauce. If you wanted to, you could have it with mango sauce. Even some mango achar and pepper sauce is really good too with them. So I'm just gonna rip open and show you guys what it looks like. And as you guys can see, it is so fluffy, so stretchy. All of that beautiful spinach is running throughout as well. And guys, the smell in my kitchen is absolutely beautiful. So before I go to dip all of my bara in some chutney and eat a plate full of these bad boys, I just wanted to let you guys know I hope you enjoyed this recipe today. If you enjoyed this recipe, go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed yet. Click that little bell notification icon on the red subscribe button and you'll be notified every time I post my newest video. Go ahead and give this video a nice big thumbs up, and of course leave all of your amazing comments down below. We're all under quarantine, guys. I hope you all are staying safe. I hope your families are safe, and if you or anyone is struggling with this nasty virus, please know that I am praying for you and I am thinking about all of you guys. So I'll see you guys again in another one of my awesome videos. Until next time, guys. Bye.